In today's video, we're going to replace this wall hydrant, could also be called an exterior water faucet, because it is leaking. You can see here that if I turn that really tight clockwise, the faucet still leaks. This house is about 25 years old, and this is the original faucet. I'm just going to quickly go in the house and show you what we're going to do here. There's also a valve in here, and that valve has also worn out over the years. So there it is there. You can see, turn that clockwise as tight as I want, and we know I couldn't get any more on that. It was still leaking outside. So what we're going to do is use some push-on fittings. I'm going to turn off the water up here because I got all sorts of valves in this house. They're always good to have. And that's the kind of valve we're going to install to replace the one with the blue handle that I just showed you. I'm going to turn off the water by closing that valve. This is push-on fitting type valve to shut the water off. We turn the handle like that, and that will shut off the cold water to our exterior tap. Let's put the handle that way. I've used these fittings many times before. I have a video where I used go into exact detail on how to use these shark bite or push-on type fittings. I'll put a link below this video to that video. I have the exterior valve fully opened up. You can see totally counterclockwise, and the one in the house, and we're just down to a drip. So I'm going to cut into that pipe inside now. We're going to take our pipe cutter like this. We're going to cut it around there, and then we'll install our valve like so. Might go up a little bit there. So I have a video using this. This is a pretty basic unit. Just tighten it up, turn it around, and keep tightening it as it loosens up, as it cuts into the copper pipe. I'll put a link to that video below too. Now that we've cut that pipe inside, we don't need this faucet to be stable anymore. We'll remove these screws. Now that we have the two screws out of that exterior faucet, and that we cut the sealant away from it, we're going to clean this up with a little bit of light sandpaper. We're not going to get too aggressive. We don't want to put big grooves in the copper pipe here. And then we'll install our valve. Let's see, I'm going to put this, let's see, which way does that go? I'm going to put I'll put it like that. So it's loose right there, and then move it around. Move my position a bit here. A little awkward. There. Now, we'll turn this off because we don't want to flood the basement. And we'll turn that other valve on. I'll just move my ladder here to show you what we're doing. I'll make sure we don't have a flood. And I'll keep the camera rolling, that way you can see if there's a leak in real time. Okay. So, as we mentioned, let's go back to that valve here. We're going to turn that on, and if we have a flood, this will turn the water on to the sink upstairs, plus our new valve. And look at that, we don't have a flood in the basement, so our new valve works. We shall continue on. I loosened off the wall hydrant from our pipe here with an adjustable wrench, and just going to totally remove it, and we'll go outside and pull this through. I might have to take a box cutter or something and expand that hole a bit there. Let's go outside and see what happens. I want to break the siding. It's just a matter of loosening that off a bit there, and we'll pull it through. I bought 3 hydrants to do this job. The one on the left is the one the existing one that we pulled out, and I'm going to return whichever 2. I wasn't sure what the length was. So this one is a 10-inch one, and this is marked up here 14 inches. And as it turns out, this works out good, because the one that has the push-on connector, which was I was hoping to be able to use, is a 12-inch wall hydrant, as it says right there, and that's about the same length as the one that we took out. And if we measure it, I guess they measure it from the base where it goes in the wall. We can see that 12 inches is about there, and on that one. So we'll use this one. Put some kind of sealant between the base of the hydrant here, where it's going to touch the siding on your house. I'm going to use plumber's putty. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. This just happens to be all the equipment I bought myself personally. No sponsorship here. So just go along like that. Get it sealed up. because our new hydrant has the push-on connector, it's wider than the one that came out. So I'm going to expand this out a bit with my drill. The way this ended up, the alignment of our valve to the water hydrant is very close. So I just want to show you quickly something. If this was further away, there's a couple of ways you could do this. We could use PEX, like a flexible plumbing pipe, to join this up, but obviously I can't bend this. It's not gonna work at that distance. But I'm gonna quickly show you how to connect and disconnect the pressure fittings to the PEX. When you go to the hardware store to get your fittings, it's almost like gearing up for Lego. There's a ton of different types. I've just got a couple here that I have accumulated over the years with different projects, leftover ones. But you can see there's all sorts of different assortments. I'm going to be using, for my purposes, one of these 90-degree ones. But to illustrate what I discussed, to show you that it could be, if you're in a situation where you can use flexible pipe like that, it's the same method as for the copper pipe. And the great thing about these is, if you put it in wrong or you need to adjust something, you can remove it. And this is how you would remove it. So we got that on there. You push the pipe on the unit. And this is what is a good idea, is to mark it. And then you'll get a good idea of how far either your copper pipe or your flexible PVC type pipe goes in it. Now you want to remove that. I take this little gizmo, only costs $1 or $2, and you put it on, just to illustrate. That's on there good and tight right now. So you move it down and you push it like this to release it within the, you might mess around with it, and there it comes out. And you can see how far the pipe goes into the fitting, which is approximately, let's say, about an inch. Anyway, that is the idea. In my case, I'm going to be using this elbow fitting here. I'm going to have to cut a piece of copper pipe. I'm going to allow an inch to go in that side and another inch to go into the fitting here, and probably only about a ½ an inch or so in the middle, because as you can see, this is going to, I'm actually going to have to very carefully bend this pipe up above. And then of course, once I get that in, I'll cut another small piece of copper pipe to go from this fitting up to our valve. I cut my little length of pipe that's going to go into the right angle fitting. I marked an inch here and an inch there. As we discussed, that's about roughly how far the fitting goes on. If it does, sometimes if they don't go on all the way, if you don't get it right. So I want to make sure that they go in correctly. Okay, we'll put this end in and just kind of move it around like that. Make sure it seats in there okay. Okay, so might have marked that off a little bit. That feels seated correctly. Just gonna show you here. And, oops, sorry. There's my mark. So we saw a good length of the pipe went into our faucet in there. We have a problem. I put my rough cut piece into the valve, and as you can see, this portion with my right angle fitting is way off, but that's all right. I'll cut a hunk off of this piece and have it again. As you can see, I fast forwarded through that last part. Again, I had to, my assessment of those lengths were off, but as we saw, you just take your little orange tool, remove the fittings if you need to. Anyway, as we saw in that last part of the vid, I turned on our valve here. There are no leaks. I'll wait a day or two just to be 100% sure, and then I'll close this all up. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching.